background, a little bit of a feeler from everyone's background, so that we can make sure that the information we are sharing and is relative to your functions, and you are able to put it into practice. So as we said, our webinar is going to be for 1 hour. In between, we are going to allocate time for questions as well. But in the meantime, feel free to post your questions on the chat box or on the Q&A, and we will definitely make sure to cover them all. Good to have you from all over the world with us today. With me, before I'm introducing myself, I would like to open the floor for the panelists who are joining me on this discussion. We have with us my colleague in the academy, Mrs. Alina Menon. We have also another colleague with us, Mrs. Abir Badawi, and another colleague of mine, Radu. I will leave the space for each one to introduce himself. I think they can do a better job than me, more justice they can do to themselves with their backgrounds. So why don't we start with you, Alina? Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you very much, Ihab. Welcome to all of you. We are almost at the second last celebratory event of our CMA coaching week. And as you all know, it has been a resounding success. My name is Alina Menon. I come from India. I am the director of training for India and a part of the global faculty, like many here. I'm a MCC myself. And what interests this topic for me is that I have spent a major part of my life in the area of sales and marketing. It's only when I got attracted to training and coaching that I had to slightly move. But I feel that a major part of the work that I do still has to do with sales, and I have a team working with me. So somehow sales doesn't leave me, and that's what gets me here to talk about this topic together with my other able colleagues like Ihab, Radu, and Abir. I hope you have a good time today. Thank you.
Perfect. Great to have you with us, Alina. Abir, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Ihab. So hello, everyone. My name is Abir Badawi. I'm from Lebanon. I'm an ex-banker with 20 years of experience at managerial level. I hold a master's degree. I'm a certified transformative coach from Coach Masters Academy and a master certified trainer from ATD, the Advanced Talent Development. Currently, I'm heading the sales department at IBG, Interactive Business Gears, a renowned organization in the personal development field in the MENA region. And I hope we will share rich insights during this session. Thank you.
And you are also part of the faculty at CMA as well. Abir also supports in looking after the region in the Middle East when it comes to sales and business development as well. Great to have you with us, Abir. Radu, our friend from Romania.
Yeah, hello everybody. Nice to see you and a lot of friends here. So my name is Radu Mândru. I'm from Romania. I've been a part of CMA 2 years now. Previously, I was in sales for most of my life, I could say. So now I will share a lot this conversation because it brings together two major areas of my life. So coaching and my previous sales background. So yeah, I'm looking forward for this conversation.
Perfect. Well, you always get the feeling that when people move to their own work and become entrepreneurs, whether they become consultants, trainers, and coaches, they think that they get rid of the sales part. Actually, they forget two things. Number one, you will not get rid of sales. You will not get rid of your boss. Practically, you will have lots of sales work to do and many bosses to deal with. So this is one of the things we get acquainted with and we get to live with. So for those who don't know me, my name is Ihab Badawi. I'm a Master Certified Coach. I'm the Director of Training at Coach Masters Academy for the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. I'm also a certified marketing expert and a certified franchise expert. And I also had Interactive Business Gears, IPG. which is an organizational leadership organization that is operating in the MENA region as well. Just to share a little bit of a background, I come from the corporate world. I used to be a chief commercial officer in one of the big organizations across the region. I used to operate 58 markets around the globe with a sales force of around 2,500 people. So when it comes to sales, although we are now entrenched in the coaching field, when it comes to sales, sales is one of the main topics that we would love, and we have a soft heart, as we say. So I hope that we have an engaging session today as we pass the time with our panelists and covering various topics. I would like to ask Radu to share the screen with the presentation so that we can introduce the topic to our friends. In the meantime, I am supporting the rest to appear on the main grid. So today, our discussion is going to focus on coaching skills for sales leaders. And covering this topic, it is going to address various professions and various angles. How coaching skills can support, first of all, sales leaders when it comes to managing their teams, leading their teams, and driving performance. This is one main angle we are going to cover today. But also, when we talk coaching and when we talk leadership, they go hand in hand. Coaching, as you know, is one of the main core competencies within leadership. So when we talk about sales leadership, it's a function we are shedding the light on, but also I think what we are going to discuss as well is gonna support in anyone interested in upgrading or uplifting his leadership style. As well, we are going to address how sales, what are the aspects that coaches who are with us, and I'm sure some of you are also coming from the coaching field. We're going to check it in the poll now. What are the areas that you can look at as part of your possible specialties when you are dealing with sales leaders? And this is also important. So we are going to cover the topic from different angles, but allow me first to check in with you and see the background and the current roles that each one of us is having. So if you can just support me with filling out the poll, I'm going to launch it now.
Excuse me, sorry, Ihab.
Hello, Sharif.
Hi, how are you? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm not able to vote because I'm a panelist. Apparently, as a panelist, we can't. We cannot.
I will launch it again. No worries.
Thank you.
1 second. One second. Sorry for that. Yes, here it is. Thank you, Sharif. We were so eager to see you all, so we upgraded you to panelists, and I missed that point on the poll. Okay, we'll just give it a few seconds so that our friends which are moving to the room with us now. Okay, interesting. Just give it a few seconds. Let me see the total votes. 27. Okay, great. Let me share the results with you, and for sure for the other professions, it will be great if you can share with us on the chat box your professional background. So as you know, sales is one of the oldest professions that exist across the universe and across history. And when we talk about sales, usually we always imagine that it's a conversation between two people in order for them. Now, conversation could be now virtually most of the time. It used to be face-to-face, virtual, emails, but it's about two people conversing around exchanging services for a commercial value. But at the end of the day, it boils down to a conversation. And when we coaches, we hear about conversation, usually what we have is usually what we call the rabbit ears. We look and we take special concern and look after such conversation and the quality behind that conversation. So coaching is now changing and shifting the way sales management is being done, and how sales managers and sales leaders are approaching the market and approaching their targets, approaching their teams, and the kind of support they are requiring as they are shifting more from training and development in order to seek as well with training and development a specific support from coaches. Radu, if you don't mind, can we go to the next slide? The next one. Okay, so during our discussion, we are going to cover the different areas that usually are handled in sales coaching, supported by coaching specifically, but also we are going to highlight the core competencies that are embedded in coaching, yet they can be utilized as standalone competencies to uplift the capability of the sales leader from a coaching perspective, one of which is active listening and the other is powerful questions. These two competencies, we're going to discuss them when we cover them with our colleague Alina. Radu, second slide, please. So before we start, just to give you a little bit of a rundown, we're gonna first share with you the relationship between needs and wants and how you are able to mitigate that in a sales conversation through coaching. However, Abir is going to share with you how does it transcend beyond a sales conversation as well, as it is at the end of the day boils down to every single one of us. All of us have certain needs and wants, and there is a kind of a mix, okay, in terms of our requirements, how we are able to satisfy those and how we move about them. And after that, we're going to move with Radu to cover the coaching areas for sales teams. What are the main areas that we need to watch out or look after in order to motivate and drive our sales force? And the third, last but not the least, would be the part that we'll cover with Alina as well, for covering core competencies that supports the sales conversation. So I'm adamant about the time, so I would like to pass the time now to Abir, whereby she's going to walk us through the needs and wants.
Well, thank you, Ihab, for that opening. Though many people might not know this, but coaching plays a big role in impacting the sales field, because driving results requires driving performance and behavior. Thus, coaching facilitates the sales management process at multi-levels, such as elevating the sales leader capacity as a leader, coaching supporting sales leaders in bridging various challenges along with their team, maybe sales coaching technique whereby the sales team can apply with their clients to create long-term relationships and create more satisfying client base as well. Second slide, please, Radu. So one way to share with you this impact is through sharing a typical dialogue between a sales member and a client. So the client, I did not order this. That's not what I ordered. The salesman, it might not be what you want, but it is what you need. Trust me, you will be happy. So as any one of us in life, the client here is focusing on what she wants and not being able to see whatever the true need is. This often leads to client dissatisfaction, even if they are the ones making the decision to buy. And if the sales insists to show the true need to the client, frustration will compile and will end up in a dissatisfied client at the end. So this is the reality of most conversations in life, even sometimes between a sales leader and a team member. So the way out, it's only through devising the right coaching approach that sales leaders and the sales team can bridge the situation. So it's by evoking, not forcing the true need out. It's allowing the client or team member to see the true need through deeper understanding and more heightened awareness, so they can see what is best for them later on. And next slide, please, Radu. So you see here, people focus either on the solution or the end result. While yes, this provides a way out. However, it's not the optimal situation. People can get the maximum out of any situation if they focus on the learning by itself, as it will empower them to face even other challenges in the future. This is what we are inviting the sales leader to embrace in their leadership style or sales management. So on the other hand, please do the next slide. Here, to evoke the hidden desire, it requires a higher level of conversation. It's a process of discovery rather than a process of telling people what they need to do. How many times we encounter someone who perceives himself that he cannot develop? But the barrier, the real one, is most often the belief that the person won't make a progress. So in this case, leaders should embrace a different mindset, a growth mindset, the one assuming that your people can learn. But how? If you invest in them, in coaching them, in developing them at an early stage, then you will reap the benefits later. So as a leader, coaching is a style of management based on asking the employees questions in order to help them fulfill their immediate responsibilities more effectively and advance their development as a professionals, as what we call them now, knowledge workers. So it's a joint discovery of what is best for the client or the team member, which will end up best for all the stakeholders. So again, deepening the learning to raise awareness should be the objective of the conversation. How? Using the powerful inquiry as mentioned here. What do you mean by that? Why does this matter to you? So these questions are powerful, and we use them as tools in the evoking of awareness. So here, Ihab, knowing that you come from a solid corporate background, where you have been for more than, I guess, 25 years as a consultant, a trainer, and a coach, could you share with us your experience in using coaching techniques with employees in all fields? So personally, for me in sales, it's so evident to me that while I use the coaching techniques, performance increases. And as a colleague shared last time in the ICW webinar, performance equal potential minus interference. So whenever I use coaching with my employees, I maximize their potential, I minimize the interference, such as beliefs. So performance will increase and obviously sales. So I'm just curious to know, what about your experience in this regard?
Okay, great, and interesting question. Okay, so in order to add my 5 cents on this, Abir, it's great from you to the way that you explained the needs and wants, and this is an extremely important topic when it comes to sales. Previously, the traditional sales, they used to be taught in order for them to offer attributes of the product. Okay, so either they will go focusing on features, and then the upgraded level is to focus on product attributes and product benefits. So it's either features or benefits. And then the whole world went more into highlighting the benefits of the product and offering it to the client. Now, I'm just focusing on the sales aspect. I'm going to work it out to leadership at the end, because the bigger part is the learning part. But however, now the highest level of sales, and this is for all of us when it comes to coaches, when it comes to sales leaders, and I'm not sure that we've covered that in the previous webinar. The point is, instead of focusing on features and benefits, try to focus on clients' needs, no matter who the client is. And when we say client, for the sake of our discussion now, it's going to be your internal client and external client, because when you are operating in a corporation, you also have internal clients that you deal with as well. And as coaches, the same applies to your clients as well, the end client, which is the coachee. All right. Instead of focusing on selling the features of what you do as a service or a product, okay, the upgraded level is to focus on the benefits. What would your client benefit? But in this case, remember, you are offering the benefit to the client, and therefore there is a big missed opportunity. While if you go to coaching, sales coaching, or a coaching approach into sales, no matter with who you are dealing, the first thing is to allow the person to understand their true need, to understand first the situation. Okay, what is the experience? How is the person experiencing the situation? What is his true need? And how it is impacting his life. It is then when the client starts noticing his true need, and now he's able to make a more educated decision to buy your service, to buy your product, because now he can see a match between what you are offering and with satisfying that true need. And when we satisfy true needs, okay, this is where the ultimate client satisfaction happens. However, when you only satisfy once, you might be satisfying the surface. When the client takes your service, when the client takes your product, you might fall into a mistake of having a disappointed client later. So when we talk win-win situation, all right, this is the way we need to apply it. You apply it internally in the organization, you apply it with your teams, as we will see now with Radu in different situations. The point is to engage your client, to understand their true needs, not to go on the surface looking for the surfacing ones. And when we talk internal, we talk about a learning, driving a learning organization. You talked about deepening the learning to heighten awareness. Okay, and this is extremely important for leaders. We talk about employee engagement in organizations. We talk about engaging your family members. What is it about engagement? Engagement is putting a focused attention towards the person that you are looking at and engaging them through powerful questions for them to understand more, because engagement is about understanding. And for those here, I saw we have GMs, we have HR professionals, we have consultants. The ultimate objective is to engage your clients, and when you engage them, they have a deeper understanding, and when they have a deeper understanding, they will learn. And when they learn, this is where you maximize their capacity, either for them to take educated decisions or to buy your service or to move forwards in your relationships. And at this point, I would like to pass thank you for this question, Abir, and for opening the chance for me to share my insight in that area. I would like to pass the time for Radu, whereby he will talk specifically how we can bridge, how can sales leaders bridge certain areas or situations with their team, and I'm sure you get better insights in that area. Thank you. So to you, Radu.
Yeah, thanks, Ihab. So I'll take it from here. So, but before I start diving a little bit more in this area of where coaching is actually delivering results, I'd like to involve or engage our audience. And I will start from an anecdote that is valid in my part of the world. So I'm curious how valid is in your part of the world. So in terms of mindset, as a manager mindset, and here I heard a lot this 3 sentences. So a manager thinking about one member of his team and using this kind of mindset. If you don't know, we'll teach you. If you cannot, we'll help you. But if you don't want, and here I would like your input. What is the missing verb in your culture, in your managerial culture? Can you share in the chat, please? Okay, so let's take some 10 seconds for everybody to hit enter.
Mhm.
What's the missing verb? Okay, influence, force you, okay, make you want. This is nice. Convince you. Okay, nice. Fire you. Great. Oh, we'll ask you why. This is a good one. Fire you again. Oh, I wonder where is that valid. Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. We restart the light. Okay. So nice, nice input. Thank you. And may I share with you that actually, in my part of the world, the word is kick or force, or maybe even fire you. So, but what we want to point out here, maybe a new mindset can be adopted, and this is a mindset of a leader coach. So, what would the leader coach? How would the leader coach approach this kind of decisions? So, actually, it's a coaching mindset that can cover all situations in different ways. So a coaching mindset will look at what the team member needs to develop. He will identify beliefs that sabotage his performance, or help his team member to clarify his personal values and how they align with the company's values. So of course, sales is a very tough area, and we know there are a lot of challenges here. And let me offer you in this mindset of a leader coach, two pillars that make coaching very profitable and effective. So one pillar is clearly learn and development, and Abir and Ihab pointed very well that coaching is about learning. So learning new skills, learning new attitudes. And actually, we know that in sales, we always want to have our people better and better. So a personal development plan is one of the sales manager way to keep track and help a sales guy to move forward. And the second pillar is the leadership, coaching as a leadership tool. And one of my favorite definitions for leadership is engaging people to co-create the future. And the future is always about change. And coaching is always about change. So here is the leader coach perspective that brings together coaching and leadership under the same umbrella. And actually, a leader can use coaching as a tool to lead his team in different ways. So going on how a leader is delivering results through coaching, let's look a little bit on some attributes of the coaching conversation. And actually, if you look at those three terms that we have brought together, sales, leadership, and coaching, sales is a conversation, leadership is a conversation, also coaching is a conversation. Now matching or mapping how a coaching conversation can actually drive results, we have, and the one that we have that have been trained in coaching, they know all this. The coaching conversation is a focused conversation. So actually keeps the focus on what's important. Secondly, it's a safe conversation. It's a confidential conversation. And the impact is in creating trust and the relationship between the leader and his team members. And coaching conversation is an empowering conversation. So when our sales team member leaves a coaching conversation, he's empowered. He feels energy and motivation to succeed. And all this drive results. Energy, motivation, and of course, a sales conversation is action-oriented. Okay, let's look a little bit at, because here we have a lot of practitioners, I would like to invite you to think about the main challenges salespeople encounter in their activity. And I will share a Menti. And please, Abir, can you paste also the link in the chat?
Yes, it's there, Radu.
Okay, great. So I will invite you to go to the chat and think of the most important. Sorry for that. Okay, topics for sales leaders. Please share with us what do you think are the most frequent challenging topics for salespeople. So those guys that are on the field talking with clients, having targets, stretch targets, and of course, those challenges being in the responsibility of the sales leader to address and to help those people to overcome. And I will share the screen to also to see everybody our each contribution. So big target. Oh, who says that? Yeah, hit the numbers, relationship building, handling objections, customer doesn't have time. He sees the salesperson as an interruption. Resilience, of course. Circumstances they cannot control. Objections of the clients. Okay, the product does not match customer needs. Ethics. Grasps the attention. Oh, big discounts. Okay, thank you for your contribution. Managing expectation. Cannot get customers. Yeah, cannot get customers. This is a big challenge, especially for the junior sales people. So maybe we can categorize those areas in, let's say, 5 main areas of challenge. And of course, delivering performance is the main focus of a sales guy. So when you ask somebody from sales, of course, his mind is also on delivering his target. But what I would like to invite here is maybe a different perspective, because sales performance is actually a result, is an end result of different components. And Abir mentioned behaviors, attitudes, and some of the categories that may be a little bit different from what is strictly in the sales performance area. There are different ways to look at it, and one is sales confidence. Sales confidence is actually it's a construct. Of course, you need knowledge, you need experience, you have to trust the product and the company, and you need self-confidence. And all those together are a challenge to build sometimes. And this is why a sales leader, while tackling the confidence, the sales confidence of people, may look on all those, but the last one, maybe it will be the most important, self-confidence. Maybe the third category here is the sales resilience, and you have mentioned big targets and customer objections or rejections or finding, and this clock starting each month from zero. Yeah, I have delivered my target last month. Now I'm starting again from scratch or from a tiny pipeline maybe. This is an emotional moment for a lot of salespeople. Another area that is in the attention of a sales leader is those behaviors that are not congruent to company's values. And actually, I saw it a lot in my experience as a sales leader, while having to change behaviors from strike and go to a more ethical approach that can actually build long-term relationship with customers. And of course, a sales agent is not alone, he's in a team. But this mindset of high how do you say it? Sorry, my English is not high competition mindset of the agent is actually projected internally. So there is a lot of internal competition. People are sometimes isolating themselves, and is a question on how actually the sales leader can build a peer support group and maybe even a peer mentoring and all this collaborative styles that is in the team. So those were some categories of the topics for salespeople. But let's look in the challenges for the sales leader. That actually we know that coaching is good. We know that coaching is delivering results. We saw it in different studies in real practice. So what can prevent our sales leader to sorry for that, to go into this new mindset? So I'm asking again you to go to the Menti. And please mention some of the challenges that you see for the sales leaders. So what actually they see as a potential barrier to go into coaching? What is their maybe worry? And while looking at the coaching hat, they have this maybe reluctancy to wear it more often. And here we have coaches, we have sales managers, we have a lot of people that are in the field and they know this. So I will ask you to contribute with your input here. So being under pressure, yeah, clearly sales is always pressurized and quick, too busy. Yeah, again, speed, impatience, urgency to tell. Oh, I need to tell. Again, impatience, the culture of the team, the pride. Wow. Slow effect. Yeah, some may believe that coaching has a slow effect. Yeah, needs results. So, you know, in sales, we talk every day about figures. So numbers. Okay, don't know how to coach. Yeah, sure. Not having the skills is a barrier to go into this area. So thank you for your contribution. And here we have clustered some of these barriers in 5 areas, and I would like to invite Ihab and Alina for some to share their view, what they actually see in practice while working with sales leaders and maybe helping them as a coach to overcome this kind of barriers. Ihab, for example, how do you see in a real life those time-related beliefs, as our friends here were saying, always on the run, speeding?
It's definitely number one reason for for leaders not to seek learning coaching skills, because of the idea of being pressured with time and not having enough time to sit down with their teams. And the frequent question that we ask to those managers, how, like, your engagement, the type of engagement you have with your team, and the answer is always like, I meet with them frequently. And this is where we try to make a clear-cut separation between meeting with your team operationally, talking about the day-to-day business is something. Having a quality coaching conversation with your team members is a completely different thing. And it's quite normal when people have the misconception that if you want to coach your team, you have to sit down for an hour and to allocate the time and have a pre-session. While the idea is that we're trying to educate leaders as well, is that once coaching becomes a mindset, once coaching becomes a habit of your leadership style, then you can coach on the go, and you can have sessions as short as 5 to 7 minutes. And this is where our invitations to all the managers, because wherever we are building a coaching culture in an organization, we are seeing a tremendous shift. And people are seeing that, yes, I have the time. The idea is that I need to have the right tools and to know how to put it as a mindset in order to coach my team.
Yeah, thanks, Ihab. And maybe a little more difficult to tackle this one of the ego part. What would you say, Alina, about this part?
Yeah, I have seen a whole lot of sales leaders, Radu, I totally agree, that they think that their role is to be the problem solver. They look upon themselves as the one who has all the answers. What they fail to realize is that when they are using a coaching style, they are empowering their team members to think for themselves. They are making them autonomous. They are getting them to take responsibility and accountability, and that really takes off a lot of stress from the sales leader himself too, because now he's created people who are taking decisions and moving ahead rather than looking at coming to him for everything. And I think that's a smart thing to do. So holding on to ego, thinking that you are an authority figure who has all the answers, who knows everything, would be a very short term and almost not advisable point of view that sales leaders must get onto. That's what I think sales leaders must learn.
Yeah. And actually this one-way communication that some leader only tell, we know that is actually not at all effective. And I remember a study while looking at the learning efficiency, and of course we can read a book, hear an audio book or something, but the more you involve somebody and the people start thinking more, the learning is increasing. This is why asking questions, triggering new thoughts, asking for new perspectives, and actually partnering with your teammate will trigger more learning than telling. Telling is not developing. So another point that yes, I have encountered in my experience, that due to some past coaching, so-called coaching experiences, people tend to reject the invitation for a coaching conversation, and this happens because in some organizations the coaching is used only as a fix for low performers. So when somebody is invited to a coaching conversation, oops, next step is maybe out. So this is why another way to overcome these barriers, or one way to overcome this barrier, is to use coaching on for every let's say level of performance, because everybody has something to learn, not only the guys that are in the bottom 10%, let's say. So coaching is a learning experience for everybody. And actually also the leader, the team leader or the sales leader can actually learn from his people while coaching them. And one interesting point that I've seen in my experience is this: who am I now? I'm a coach, I'm a leader, how should I wear this hat? So Ihab, would you offer some insight on that, please?
Yeah, this is after some leaders or managers, they come to a coaching training, and I'm not talking about only certification. I'm talking about the coaching training or moving, having that paradigm shift, that they move from a manager into a mentor or a manager mentor, and then moving into a leader coach. One of the things is always a comment that we always hear is that the leader would come and say, hey, you are coaches, you are dedicated to coaching, it's easy for you to play that role. While I'm in the organization, I have various things to do, and I cannot coach all the time. Well, the point is that all leaders have various hats that they can wear. Sometimes they have to be managers, managing certain assets, taking certain decisions. Okay, sometimes they need to be mentors for others. They need to inspire a change with others, or to support them in bridging certain experience gaps. While in certain areas they need to be coach-like people. But what we saw is that apart from the fact that they can clarify their role by the way they engage the people. Once coaching becomes a way that you converse with other people, that becomes your communication style. And everyone knows that coaching is the highest level of communication, because you devise all the core criteria and competencies and skills of communication. You are a great listener, good engager, you know where to ask, when to ask, and on which point to elevate the learning. So the point is, as leaders, you are a leader at the end of the day. You are supposed to have many roles in the organization. It is up to you to know which style to use in which situation. But most importantly, to know that coaching is a quality of conversation which can be used all the time. It's not on a specific a session that you are having on a specific topic.
Yeah, so it's not thinking of the hat, but actually it's on the jacket that you can wear all the time. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So moving forward, I would like to invite Alina to help dig a little, look a little bit closer on the competencies that actually are making this coaching delivering sales results.
Sure. Thank you, Radu. So we spend some time understanding that why leaders don't choose to become coach-like. There are so many advantages there. What stops them from shifting to become the leader who empowers, develops, create leaders under them, and creates an autonomous system? Maybe they think that is difficult. And so the next topic that we're talking about is the core competencies that can support the sales conversation when a leader who is a sales leader who's being coach-like, or a coach who is speaking to a sales team. And the good news is that you don't need any deeper level competencies. These are the ones which we talk about and know very well. Even somebody who may not be a very trained coach will be able to practice these. So I'm talking of trust and intimacy, direct communication, powerful questioning, and active listening. What I'm going to now talk about is how these competencies, which we as coaches who are here today know this very well, how can this be turned a bit to make it useful or conducive or just fit right to a sales coaching conversation. So moving forward, let's look at trust and intimacy. A conversation between a manager and his team member regarding performance, regarding doing better, giving better results, will be absolutely useless if there is no trust and intimacy in that relationship. And so that would be the first competency that this coach sales leader needs to work on. And it doesn't require too much. Just acknowledge the team members' work. So while I have used the word client there, what I mean is the sales leader working with his team member. Just acknowledging the work that has been done. No appreciation ever felt fruitless. It always helped somebody somewhere when an appreciation and a kind word is put in. So coach acknowledges the client's work, recognizes his boldness and commitment and determination of what this team member aims to work on. I think that's the starting point, to say, I know what you're doing and you're doing it well. I can see there is commitment, there is determination, and therefore I am here with you to support your effort, and help you gently nudge you in the forward direction. And that's the competency of building trust and intimacy. We as coaches do that very well with our clients. But when you are with your team member, if you, like what Radu was talking about, move off from the ego and authoritarian space, if you move off from always telling and giving answers to becoming this way, the sales coaching conversation becomes so much more easier. Moving forward, active listening. We've heard this one so much, and how much ever we talk about active listening, it is never enough. Let's look at what is it that the sales leader needs to listen for. There are a lot of things that a team member talks of when he's expressing why performance was not good, what comes in his way, why is he scared. Inquire what is behind the dilemma and the questions in your team member's mind. So what is it that is a roadblock? Where is it that he may be feeling like he doesn't know the answer, he doesn't know the way ahead? The coach inquires on, the connections between what you did before. Sometimes we forget that good work done in previous times is a great place to start inspiring somebody to do good work again in the future, which means, where is it that you had opportunities of showing fantastic work? What resources did you use? How were you that time, and what helped you to be so successful that time? And then you take off from that position of strength of the past to say, what more can be done now? What have you learned from that experience? And how can you use that experience? There's one more box here, Radu. If you just click, you'll get one more. Yeah. Many leaders, including sales leaders, don't believe in making observations and listening keenly. They are more, many of them, I'm not generalizing, but many of them are more lost in trying to make comments, give a critique, or give their own advice to people. But if the sales leader just makes observations on how is this team member speaking about the problem, maybe go one step deeper to say, you sound like your confidence is not in place. How can I help with the confidence? You sound like you are confused. You need some more clarity. Just making observations on what the client is saying, what the team member is saying, instead of getting ready to bombard him with his point of view, would be a good way to demonstrate active listening. Yeah. Moving ahead. Thank you. Powerful questions. I was just talking to I was just coaching a leader today, and one of the topics that came up was that if leaders were to ask questions rather than keep giving instructions and directions and advice, it would make their own life so much easier. I think the leader would be a less tired leader, where he would ask questions and wait somebody else to give the answer, especially when the person who is there and sitting in front of you, your team member, is confused and needs to find his own solutions. So questions like, what is this issue symbolizing to you? What makes you say these kind of negative or statements which sound very pessimistic? A direct attention on what needs to be changed? What needs to be challenged? What is the challenge here? Sometimes when we look at a challenge and we start talking about it, we've seen that clients will make the challenge look very big. But when you ask a question, in all of this, what do you see as a personal challenge? We realize there's something very small and something very doable comes up. And if the question is directed to what needs to be challenged, what needs to shift here, I think they will do a lot of good service to their team members. Building perspective, that's a coach's job. And if the sales leader coach can see that this person may be looking at it only from one side, maybe he's wearing a lens which is black in color and so finds everything dark. What may be another way to look at it? Inquire on what's happening now and what is it that you would like to have happened? These kind of questions which are directly making the team member who is coaching take a good look at his challenges, his roadblocks, his blind spots, his limitations, and what is it that he probably hasn't even tried to do. And when coaching these things, when they get opened or when they get talked about, it is very easy for the team member to then able to clearly chart out a path for himself. So we're talking of questions which are clear, direct, open-ended, and obviously one at a time. Moving forward, direct communication. I've seen many sales leaders are not too comfortable giving feedback. While they may have opinions about somebody's performance not being good, but they never give the feedback the way it should be. They somehow shy away from direct communication. And we as coaches know that one of the best ways to be able to get you and your client stroke team member on the same page is to use direct communication. Moving the negative mind state into something that is positive and possible towards the future. Not mincing words, being clear to ask if there is help required, what needs to change, and not leading. Very often leaders ask leading questions because they seem to know the solution and they feel that it's their job to take the team member to the solution. If they stay away from it, they'll do a lot of good to the team member. Moving forward. Okay, so I'm going to invite my colleagues here to throw some light on what they think are these kind of questions that I hear. So Ehab, may I request you to come in here?
Great. Thank you, Alina, for putting it beautifully, especially on building trust, which is actually required, because leadership is not a post that somebody can just take a title or just put himself in such a post. It's something that you acquire through building trust, and trust towards you as a person. How do you show up and your leadership style? And definitely trust and intimacy will allow that relationship between you as a leader, between you as a coach and your client. At the end of the day, that conversation, dual conversation, to open up and enable you to manifest or to show your other skills of actively listening to your team members and opening the space for them, using powerful questions for them to open up and share with you some information. And I remember before we wrap up our session, because I'm adamant about the time for the rest, and we open the floor for the questions and what type of questions they can utilize as tools. I just remember that in one of the operations we got, it was an operation doing around 7 million. And we were able to bridge that operation from 7 million to 94 million in 11 months. Now, the point was, it was not about the sales strategy that we've implemented. It was not about the marketing strategy that we've implemented. It was jumping over to that same core team, sitting with them from a different mindset and actually asking them the right questions, because most of the people, they are used to do what they do, and they are going by habit. This is the way we used to do it. This is the kind of performance we used to have. And it was a great showcase to show people that when you open the chance for people, you evoke their thought thinking process, when you allow them to think creatively, they are able to bridge certain limitations. And this is, if we go back to what Radu has mentioned about the certain areas that sales leader can coach around, it's very important for the coaches, because I'm looking at the screen and I see lots of coaches with us. Now you know what are the areas that you can tap on. It's not about coaching the situation. It's not about coaching one aspect of the topic or what the sales leader puts on the table at the surface. You need to open up the chance for the sales leader himself also to know what's his true need. And his true need possibly is to elevate his or her leadership capacity. Okay, and utilize part of what we do as coaches as well with his sales team in order to bridge and drive results. Me and Radu, we were having a backstage discussion and we were saying that you cannot drive results. Okay, you can drive the what is behind the results. You can drive capacity. You can change the variables. You can change behavior, which drive results at the end in the market. So Alina, allow me, because I'm just looking at the time, I would like just to open the space for 5 minutes for our participants in case they have any question they would like to ask specifically about the deep areas that you have highlighted about the core competencies, how to devise them as a coach, or how to devise them as a sales leader, or how to devise them as a sales team with the client. I would say the last section on questions to ask, I would leave it to our participants, and then we can build and share the tools and some of the questions with them based on that. However, allow me to share with you as well an important announcement before we wrap up our session today. At 9 Dubai time, there will be a live demonstration. And I think this is a good invitation for all because it will be very, very interesting. A live coaching demonstration, which is a real-time coaching. It's going to be done live by Master Coach Ben Ko. And the client is actually one of the senior directors who is working with a multinational organization. And actually, it's his first time to be coached. Okay, which is a great opportunity for you to see how things manifest and the change happening at that moment. And what I can share with you is that the client has been lined up to assume a CEO role, and he wants to be coached around building capacity. I think this is a little bit related to what we have been discussing as well about creating a learning space. So I wanted to share this with everyone before we wrap up and before anyone leaves the session here. Back to you now as participants, not to Radu, not to Abir, not to Alina, back to you. Any question that you have or you would like to highlight specifically when it comes to the coaching skills for sales leaders, please feel free to ask. There's a wealth of information with you and with the panelists that we can capitalize on today. So is there any specific question you would like to ask? We have one question. What is the role of understanding personality types in coaching salespeople? Who would like to give it a go? Alina, would you like to give it a go? So the question is popping up is, what is the importance of, or is there a role of personality types like DISC and possibly MBTI on coaching salespeople?
Okay, understanding personality types or understanding MBTI types are only indicators of a tendency of a person to think a particular way. And it is in no way to box somebody, to make them feel bad about the fact that their results or no performance results is coming from the personality type that they have. So as a coach, understanding that people cannot be stereotyped, it is just an indicator. So the coaching style can get the coach's coaching style can get a little more sharper if you know that there is a certain personality type there in front of you. Like if you know that you're dealing with an introvert, then the coach needs to be able to ask questions and be patient, because the introvert is going to speak lesser. That does not mean, and therefore the coach cannot judge that this person is not interested in the coaching. He hardly gives me any information, but appreciates that he will speak less, but he will speak useful. So any coach, whenever you're coaching, these personality types are only used as a enabler to make the process easier, not to judge or box anybody.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful, Alina. And if I may add, it's about when you know the personality types of others, what does it serve you? It serves you to adapt. And when you adapt your communication, what does it mean to adapt? To adapt your communication style. If you are sharing any input with a person, okay, if you know their communication style, if you know what appeals to them, you will be able to bridge and cross to them, okay, much easier, much faster. And I think it will contribute to your direct communication. So for salespeople, because this specifically for salespeople, yes, any leader, any manager, knowing and learning about personality types, and all of us, will allow us to uplift our communication level, so that we know with whom we are dealing and how we need to pose our questions and how we need to evoke the learning. Another question is, if a sales leader has never learned coaching, okay, and he's leading a team, is it easier or more efficient to recruit an external coach rather than learn coaching skills? Interesting question, actually. I would love to answer that, but I will open the space for Radu to open the
yeah. So
the answer.
Here are several ways that this question is asked. So coach a team is one, coach one by one is second, coach the leader of the team is third. So actually, on the long run, a sales leader, I would say, should learn to start coaching himself. But up to this moment, there is a process of learning. And while being coach himself, he will model some behaviors that you'll see, that he will witness as a client working with a professional coach. So this is one experience that is very enhancement in terms of understanding how you feel and what is the change that you experience as a client. Then he will embrace more this coaching hat, because he will see on himself that has great impact. So on the long run, learning coaching skills, overcoming all those barriers that we have discussed previously, is a process that may involve also an external, but himself, the sales leader, must develop himself in this direction.
So it's a good answer, Radu. From my side, the coaches, and I'm a coach, but coaches will hate me for this, but definitely it's more efficient to create a coaching culture in your organization. Okay, we are coaches, and we are known to be highly ethical, highly straightforward, clear people, and we like to give the right, to open up the right door. That's why we also, as an academy, and all of us as faculty, we have our different leadership programs to train leaders, not to certify as coaches, but possibly like leading with impact or the leader coach. These are training programs for leaders to acquire the skills of a coach. It doesn't have to go for certification. So if you want my advice, build a coaching culture across the organization. And you can do that by multiple things. Offer trainings, and this is very efficient for all the team members. And this is very efficient. Okay, you have multiple, and for the leaders, send them for a advanced leadership program for like the leader coach or leading with impact, and couple it with themselves as leader to be coached from time to time. This is the best formula you can ever have in order to create a culture whereby the leader himself experiences what is it to be coached, and how the transformation on himself will happen, and how he can elevate that to the other team. Last question we have to cover is how to get salespeople to buy into the coaching culture. Okay, how to get the sales team buy into the coaching culture. Radu, Abir, Alina, any one of you. So these are interesting questions. I'm glad that we are receiving them.
Well, allow me, I have to say that I think that by raising the awareness around coaching, just letting people know about coaching, about the impact of coaching, and let the sales team or the sales members experience the positive impact of coaching, I think they will buy it more and they will use it more.
Human
Absolutely.
resource has a, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Alina. I'm just confirming with Abir.
Totally agree with Abir. Human resource plays a very strong role in creating a positive mindset towards coaching. And therefore, you know, as positions that we held in ICF also, I would agree. We constantly are looking at if the human resource department, who's the real client there, understands coaching in the right context, a lot of the things will become so much more easier in terms of its acceptance, in terms of business growing, in terms of more and more people understanding that coaching is such a wonderful way to move up on your potential ladder.
Absolutely. If we would like to coin it easily, any change that you would like to happen in an organization, and when you talk about embedding a coaching culture, you are talking about a cultural change, or what we call in our organization culture re-engineering. All right, and whether it's a soft one or a hard one, it's so easy. Go back to the basics. You want something to change it from the top. If you want the people to believe, let the CEO and the directors and the managers believe in it. Okay, and unless you see people walking the talk, unless you see people who are being coached, and as you know, senior directors would get senior coaches, spend lots of money, but people lose confidence in coaching when they see those leaders being coached and they are not acquiring that change. Okay, they are not living a sustainable change. Why? It's because the way they are perceiving that development tool and the way they are embedding it. So my best advice is let the people at the top change their behaviors and embed coaching in their approach. And the best means, if I might give a last advice in this session, the best means is embed coaching at least in your performance management system. Embed it in the way you communicate. What is better from your performance management system, I don't mean in it only the way that you measure your KPIs. I'm talking about the performance management cycle. The first, during the early in the year, the way you contract your objectives and your KPIs with the team, the way that you follow up. Some people think that you need to follow up on quarterly basis or have a mid-year review. I would advise that you coach your team on performance specifically, minimum monthly, if not allow a space of 5 to 7 minutes weekly. Coaching for performance is great. It's about opening up to the people the chance for them to develop. It's a learning chance. And I think this will create the learning culture and the coaching culture across the organization. If I may see it as a wrap up to all what we have been discussing, and specifically when it comes to sales, once you coach the sales, you will see that a lot of information is coming back from your sales team, lots of valuable information that is coming back to you where you are able to build on. So the best way is putting the coaching aspect on. One of the core competencies that Alina mentioned is the active listening. And this is the best thing that we can share with you at this point. Would like to thank you very much for being with us on this webinar. Looking forward to have you on the remaining webinars that are offered by the Academy during this week. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of you for your time and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
See you
Thank
tonight.
you. See you soon.
9 p.m. Dubai time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Learn a lot from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have a quick debrief, and we didn't manage to do that during the last session.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see something?